Hi there and welcome to the Richie Allen Show in association with davidicke.com, brought to you in association with beyondvision.tv. It's Friday, October the 23rd. I hope you're well. Lots to get into in this programme. I'm going to be talking about, well, lots. How about I don't give you the menu and I just get on with it? There's lots to talk about. First up this week, you think you've seen and heard everything, and then this. I said on the radio show this week that I thought this was a hoax. Surely Benjamin Netanyahu, whatever he's called, he couldn't have said this.
Attacks on the Jewish community in 1920 and 1921, 1929 were instigated by a call of the Mufti of Jerusalem, Haj Amin al-Husseini, who was later sought for war crimes in the Nuremberg trials because he had a central role in fomenting the final solution. He flew to Berlin. Hitler didn't want to exterminate the Jews at the time. He wanted to expel the Jews. And Haj Amin al-Husseini went to Hitler and said, if you expel them, they'll all come here. So what should I do with them? He asked. You said, burn them.
Oh yes, you heard it right. The madman said that Hitler only wanted the Jews to leave Germany, that's all. But the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, a man called Haj Amin al-Husseini, told Hitler, burn them. Needless to say, the condemnation, or should I say thankfully, not needless to say, thankfully, the condemnation of Netanyahu was swift and merciless. Palestinian analyst Mahdi Abdul Hadi could only laugh.
This is a joke. People are really laughing on this distortion of history and facts. This man is living in a different world, completely denial of facts and figures and the history itself. So how could he understand today the pain, the suffering, the agony, the trauma among the youth of the Palestinians in Jerusalem?
Colette Avital, she's a former member of the Knesset and a survivor of the Holocaust. She didn't find it funny at all.
I didn't believe what I heard.
Colette Avital was once Netanyahu's opponent in Israel's parliament. She's also a Holocaust survivor.
It's belittling the role of the Nazi party, of Hitler himself, and of all his associates for the final solution.
Some historians have also piled on the Prime Minister.
The killing of the Jews was already a fact.
Their view, Netanyahu got his facts wrong, absolved Hitler and gave support to those who deny the Holocaust ever happened.
Hitler didn't need any kind of advice from somebody, and of course not the advice of some small fry like the Mufti of Jerusalem. So the whole dialogue that Netanyahu mentioned was invented.
Moshe Zimmerman is right, of course. Invented. Invented is the key word there. Netanyahu is clinically insane. That's not a joke, that. I'm not saying that for effect or to get a giggle. He is stone mad. There's really not much else to say about that. The rapid condemnation by Israeli politicians and officials in Tel Aviv is good. It's very good. But it doesn't detract from the fact that it's absolutely crazy. It's crazy. Western media this week has continued to push the myth that Bashar al-Assad has been targeting his own people and murdering them and all of that. But as Russia Today reported this week, a German Syrian charity has done its own research and has actually conducted an independent survey of the Syrians, or I should say of some Syrians, to find out who they see as a threat to their lives and to their freedom. A woman called Lizzie Phelan filed this report for RT.
We're in Lebanon, in the Bekaa Valley, which has been flooded with Syrian refugees, and we've come to ask them who they view as the biggest threat.
Of the 5 camps I visited, people's responses didn't support recent media reports of a survey that claims the vast majority of Syrian refugees blame Assad for them having to flee.
Who do you see as a bigger evil when you look at this picture?
They are both evil to humanity, and getting rid of both will be merciful for us, because ISIS is killing people on the street and the other is killing them from the air. They are not of the same brutality. It's better if the regime stays, because the freedom and security we had back then weren't available in any Arab state. We all had freedom.
Fawaz al-Hussein from Idlib told a different story.
Of course, those dogs are the most evil, beheading people. They put the Jordanian pilot in a cage and burned him. So are they human? Of course they're not.
What you won't see in those media reports are that the German Syrian charity behind the survey is closely affiliated to the anti-government local coordination committees that openly supports the Free Syrian Army insurgent group, whose fighters have gone on to join groups like ISIL and Al-Qaeda's branch in Syria, the Al-Nusra Front.
Now, what's interesting about this report is that charity was affiliated to anti-government Free Syrian Army forces originally, but they've been honest enough to tell the truth and not falsify their findings. Western-backed and funded jihadists that we call ISIS are the enemy, not the government, which we've been saying in the independent media for more than 3 years now. Moving on to Fox News. We've not spoken too much about Fox News. Not had a lot to say about Fox in recent times. We've not heard from them in some time. Now that Russia is seemingly having success in Syria in tackling ISIS, like we reported on the show last week, Russia is supposedly, or has supposedly, made a big dent into 40% of the lunatic jihadist infrastructure in Syria. Destroying them, running them out of their strongholds. That's all good news, isn't it? You would have thought so anyway, regardless of what you thought about Vladimir Putin. And there's a lot of bad things to say about Vladimir Putin. But wrong if you're Fox News. Fox reckons we're all doomed and we're going to die at the hands of a homegrown terrorist. Greta Van Susteren, a woman with a wonderful jawline, who used to be, that's unfair that by the way, who used to be a lawyer in New York, has been speaking with US Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson. She asked him, what did he need? What do you need, man? What do you need to do your job? He said, we need to repeal sequestration, which basically means don't cut the budget to Homeland Security. Give us more money, because it's only more money that will help keep us safe. He then goes on to tell Greta Van Susteren what the nature of the threat is to Americans right now.
The evolution is becoming more and more clear every day. We've evolved from simply worrying about an underwear bomber type attack, where you have a guy who comes from overseas, who's trained overseas at a camp, who's been directed overseas, and then tries to blow something up here over the homeland, to the type of situation where there's a guy who's here, he's lived here, he might have even been born here, who's inspired by something he sees on social media, which is really effective and really slick, and he decides to take up arms and commit an act of violence here.
We've evolved, apparently, from simply worrying about an underwear bomber type attack, for fuck's sake. Then we went to the overseas guy, trained over there, then sneaks in here to cause mayhem. And now we're at the stage of the guy who lives here, was born here, who is inspired by something he sees on social media and blows us all up. It's total and utter bollocks. And as Jay Johnson said there, to quote Jay Johnson, the US Homeland Security Secretary, he says it's effective, it's really slick, really slick. These guys are really slick. Nothing from Greta Van Susteren. No challenging Johnson whatsoever. Just do your job. Keep fanning the flames of fear. The American people must believe, as must the people of Britain, that there's an all-pervasive enemy hiding within, waiting for the opportunity to kill them. It's total and utter madness. But that's what you get on the MSM. This is the Richie Allen television show in association with davidicke.com and beyondvision.tv. Stay with us. We'll be back after this very short break.
Good bookkeeping is good business. It's true. Without good bookkeeping routines, a small business cannot possibly thrive and also risks problems with HMRC and other government agencies. We want to ensure your business is fully compliant and further ensure that no business pays more VAT, tax, or pay-as-you-earn than it should. As part of the Better Business campaign, we want to give you a free tax appraisal to make sure you're not missing out on any tax or VAT advantages. All it takes is 10 minutes of your time. What do you have to lose?
And you're very welcome back to the programme. At this point, I'd like to give a few plugs. Please check out liveleak.com. Do it immediately. Every Thursday night at 10:30 p.m. BST is the Live Leak show with Hayden, with Evil Marty, Dirty J and Wingman John broadcast. It's the most extraordinary show you've ever seen in your life. It's equal parts hilarious, but also very pithy and very hard-hitting with some of its news analysis. It's a big free-for-all, really. That's every Thursday, 10:30 p.m. BST. DavidIcke.com is a big supporter of this television programme. Go to davidicke.com/headlines and check out unreportedtruth.com, which is a new file sharing website, video sharing website. Well, not really a video sharing website. It's more of a platform for citizen journalists to share their thoughts and opinions, their blogs, their videos, their whatever. That's unreportedtruth.com. I love making this TV show. Big thanks to Hayden for producing this every week. It's it's one in a pile of jobs he has to do. He doesn't get anything for it. I don't get anything for it either. We donate our time, but he donates lots more time than I do. So thanks to Hayden Hewitt for that. Thanks for watching it. Share it on social media. You've heard all of this before. Just do it. Do it. Help us get it out there. Well, the Chinese Premier Xi Jinping is in town. Literally. He's in Manchester today. He went to the palace, got dressed up, had a bit of a do and all the usual nonsense. Now he's in Manchester, visiting Manchester City Football Club as we record this today. Now, not everybody was happy with Mr. Xi Jinping being in town. And that pissed me off, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Have a look at this.
But protesters outside say rule from Beijing results in a high human price to pay. Activists made their presence felt throughout the president's first day of engagements.
Xi Jinping does not deserve to be wined and dined by the Queen, by David Cameron in the UK today, because he shows no respect for human rights and for values that British people stand for.
The values that British people stand for. Is she out of her fucking mind, that protester? Rendition, torture, Guantanamo Bay, tax credit cuts, forced adoption, asylum seeker detention centres, disability allowance cuts, secret fucking courts. She's talking about the values that the British people stand for and those being in conflict with inviting this guy over here. Listen, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I have all manner of problems with human rights abuses committed by China. But listen, don't throw fucking stones when you live in the biggest glass house in the world. All right? Mental. Not to mention, and I could be here all day talking about the rights abuses committed by this government, and I will get to some of them a bit later on in this programme. If you're British, you will probably know that this week Tata Steel became the third company to announce job losses in recent weeks. And it seems that as many as 1 in 6 of the remaining 30,000 steel jobs in this country could now go. Now, this is a sector, by the way, an industry that managed to survive the global recession of 2008 and 2009, the manufactured global recession, by the way. It survived all of that, but not now. And Hayden Hewitt, something you lamented on the Live Leak show last night. This guy is in town, Xi Jinping, talking to the British Prime Minister. Amongst other things, I'll get to nuclear power shortly, signing a contract to provide the steel for the proposed HS2 high-speed rail link, while at the same time, the British Prime Minister is overseeing the loss of tens of thousands of jobs in the steel industry. Hayden, I call that treason.
It is treason. You couldn't make it up, could you? What kind of insensitive bastard sees people led just before Christmas.
Yeah.
No matter what your beliefs are, Christmas. The one time when most people get to spend time with their families and indulge.
Yeah.
Have a nice time. No, you're losing your job. But it's all right, because, you know, all that Chinese steel that's put you out of a job? Oh, we're buying lots
Shitloads
of that.
of it.
It's all a coincidence that it's happened at this particular timing, but we're going to buy loads of it to bail out the Chinese government.
We're not exaggerating, you and I, when we say treason. This is as treacherous as it gets. This is colluding with the premier of a foreign country to devastate the lives of British people. He says we can't fix the global price of steel. He's a lying fucking bastard. All he has to do is say, well, we're not importing that steel. We're not having it.
It's happened before.
Yeah, and it will happen
again. It's been
again.
done before. There is no reason we couldn't have paid more for British steel. Do we really think with the cost of HS2, another couple of $100 million means
That's
anything?
Right.
It
That's
means
right.
nothing. It all goes back into the economy anyway. It would have gone into the pockets of those workers.
Yeah.
They'd have spent the money in the local
Spot
economy.
on, my friend.
It's not just the steel jobs that lose here.
Yeah.
It's supply companies. It's the butty bars that work near the factories. Countless.
For our American viewers, butty bars are sandwich bars.
Yes, I do apologise. The sandwich and hot potato bar.
Yeah.
It's devastated entire communities for the sake of saving money on, let's face it, something that's not really terribly important.
And this is where you and I kind of differ, and I respect your opinion, of course. I believe that this is not just cronyism. This is not just favours being done by guys so that when they leave public life, they'll get a nice cushy job somewhere else. This is, for me, it's more sinister than that. I know you've got difficulties with that and going as far as that. But this is about fucking destroying the livelihoods of most of the people in this country. It's only the beginning, this, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, we saw similar things in the years of Thatcher. We destroy industry. Destroy industry. Not privatise, destroy.
Destroy it, yeah.
Absolutely. We'd lose it. It's not as if the privatisation of a lot of the industries has seen those industries continue to thrive. They haven't. It's gone to outside companies.
They should be arrested, Hayden. They should be put on trial, and if found guilty, they should be put in prison. It's outrageous, mate. Thanks for that. And if you go to the BVTV channel on YouTube, hopefully, because they spoke so much about that on the Live League show last night, you'll be able to see the Live League show from Thursday night, the 22nd of October. Really important stuff, that. It's really important. It's going on all over the world. It isn't a coincidence. And it isn't corruption. It isn't just about corruption and lining pockets. It's about the fucking extinction and extermination of people. That's what it's about. I'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. And while we're at it, Cameron and Xi Jinping signed a deal in this country agreeing for the Chinese to run a new nuclear power station in Somerset at a time after Fukushima, when other countries are running like fuck from nuclear power stations. Do you want to come in on that?
Yeah, not only that, the cream.
Yeah.
Cream on the cake, the cherry on top. They're fixing the prices as well. Above market value. Get in.
It's horrendous, Hayden. Look, we've known the Chinese are bastards for a long time. I say this now with a massive tongue massively in cheek. I've got no problem with the Chinese. In fact, they were okay. I'm a Manchester United fan. They were okay until this week. Look at what they've done to Bastian Schweinsteiger. Look at that. This is a big story. This is a doll, a Nazi doll, being made by a Chinese company, who, when challenged about the likeness of the doll to the Manchester United midfielder Bastian Schweinsteiger, and you can see a split screen here now to see the likeness. They said that all Germans look like that, Hayden. They all look like Schweini. Now, the irony of a Chinese person saying, you all look like that, having for many years accused us of racism when we can't differentiate Chinese people from Japanese people or from Vietnamese people and so on, so on, so on. What have you made of that?
Look on the bright side. I'm sure Bastian Schweinsteiger, being German, will use that celebrated German sense of humour to laugh this
He's not finding it funny. Either him or his company is suing the company who is making it. And he's in the wrong country to do that. And he's in the wrong business, because footballers have a notoriously Mickey-taking sense of humour. And I'm sure he's getting it large from his teammates at Old Trafford right now. Leave well enough alone. What did you say to me this morning? Royalties.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's what you should have done. You should have said, well, I'll just have a piece of that. Because let's face it, it kind of suits him. I'm not insinuating the guy's a Nazi in any way, shape or
No,
form.
of course not. No.
But, you know, it suits him. He is very German.
It's hilariously funny, and it comes at a wonderful time because the biggest game of the year in the city takes place at the weekend. Manchester City fans will be at Old Trafford, and if they can get the doll in time, I'm sure we'll see quite a few dolls on the television. So it's a funny story, just to lighten the mood a bit. That's Bastian Schweinsteiger. No doubt they've decided to use his likeness. What they were thinking. Crazy story that. Look, to more serious matters. Tom Watson is the deputy leader of the Labour Party. You will know this if you watch this programme, and you will know it if you watch the Live League show and listen to the Richie Allen radio show. Having refused last week under or after a direct question by Nicholas Soames MP at Westminster to apologise to the surviving family of former Home Secretary Leon Britton, having refused to apologise to the family for insinuating that Britton was evil, well, he's just gone and done that very thing even, and he has apologised. He told a Home Affairs Select Committee that he was only repeating the words of an alleged sex abuse survivor, but he admitted he shouldn't have used the phrase in the first place. Take a look at Watson here.
Would you like to take this opportunity to apologise to Lady Britton for some of the comments that you have made? Because I don't know whether you have, but others, of course, have talked about the illness of Lord Britton, the late Lord Britton. It must be terrible for the family. What would you like to say to Lady Britton as a result of what has happened?
Well, I'm very sorry for the distress caused, and I'm very sorry for a wider family. I know they're very angry, and they clearly loved Leon Britton very much, and they're angry on behalf of their family member, and I am sorry.
But they appear to be angry with you. Do you think you have some responsibility for their distress?
Well, I feel that the people's voices were not being heard, and I felt responsibility for them, and I hope they can try and understand that.
I called Watson a gutless wonder on social media while watching him grovel. I didn't do that for effect. I didn't do that to be the big man. I've got a few followers on Twitter. I did it because Watson knows that Leon Britton was a sick monster. He abused dozens of children over the years at Elm House and elsewhere. Not making it up. He was named in Home Office documents that were released a few months ago. Documents that were supposed to be destroyed by the Home Office. He lost the list of names. Jesus Christ. Richie, we're sick of you saying the same fucking thing every week. I'm sick of it. Hayden Hewitt is sick of listening to this. But we can't stop talking about it. Even though I'm blue in the face from saying the same shit every week. This guy lost the Dickens dossier. You know? Now, we learned this week that, in fact, we learned yesterday that John Mann MP has got a copy now of the famous Dickens dossier, or at least 1 page or 2 pages of it. Despicable. If Watson had any guts at all, he'd have told Keith Vaz, who was chairing that committee, that he wouldn't apologise and that he would wait until Lowell Goddard's inquiry eventually publishes its findings, even though that's not likely to happen any time before 2020. Hayden, you mentioned to me this morning, Private Eye magazine, other publications, this guy was a known abuser of children for generations.
Absolutely. There's never been any doubt in the establishment, among reporters, amongst anything else, that Leon Britton was a very, very bad man.
So what do you think when you see Watson apologising to Keith Vaz?
I know personally that he was still trying to groom young soldiers. Now, they're adults, they're not kids.
Yeah.
He was making very unusual suggestions to them right up until the time of his surprise.
And you've had direct contact with somebody who told you that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just couldn't talk about it.
He was a monster.
He absolutely was. And what do I make of Tom Watson apologising? Despicable.
It's despicable, isn't it? Have the courage of your conviction, man.
He's a politician, though. What do you expect?
Well, that's what I said. And I went into a rant on Facebook today, which you probably saw, because you put the Richie Allen television show on the Facebook page. And I went into a rant, which was heartfelt and genuine, telling people, stop getting upset when these fuckers let you down. That's what they're going to do.
Well, has it ever been any different?
Never been any different.
Promise you the earth, deliver your dust. It's what they do. It's how they exist. Look at, I've done millions of examples. We will not cut tax credits.
Yeah.
We're cutting tax credits. And not only that, David Cameron is very happy about
Delighted
the
about
tax credits.
Delighted about we'll get to that in a minute. Thanks, Hayden. Plunging people into poverty. Last weekend, we were told a leaked memo showed that former PM Tony Blair signed up to take Britain to war in Iraq a year before the invasion. Oh, we were all just dying of shock, weren't we? Take a look at this from RT this week.
Britain's former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, has found himself in the media firing line. A leaked memo appears to show that he signed up to the 2003 Iraq war a year before the actual invasion. One UK newspaper now has labelled him an Iraq war cheerleader then, after these revelations have surfaced. The document was written by the then US Secretary of State Colin Powell to his President George Bush back in 2002. At the time, Blair was making speeches about finding a diplomatic solution to the crisis. A British public inquiry into the Iraq war has been dragging on for the past 6 years. £10 million later, there's still no release date in sight. But during one hearing, Blair was questioned on whether he gave President Bush early assurances that UK troops would join that combat mission.
Do you think you gave him any commitments?
The only commitment I gave, and I gave this very openly at the meeting, was a commitment to deal with Saddam.
The 2002 memo also praises Blair's impressive PR skills. It states that he'd be able to make a, quote, credible public case on Iraq's threats to international peace.
So over 1 million dead Iraqis, we know this to be true. 2 million displaced, the country is in ruins. It's in total and utter fucking ruins, Iraq. I wrote a couple of keywords here for myself. That's what I do, the keywords here. The Hague, war crimes, importance, discuss. Discuss what? This fucker is never going to be in the Hague in handcuffs. At least I don't think so anyway. I think before anybody got him anywhere near there, he would be bumped off. Tony Blair is the worst human being that's ever lived. I put him above Adolf Hitler. I really do. Hitler's excuse was he was totally and utterly fucking crazy. Right? Now, for our Jewish viewers, I'm not absolving him or the Third Reich or the Nazi Party. Absolutely right. What happened to those guys in the Nuremberg trial and all of that. No problems with any of that. But they were fucking mad. At least Hitler was anyway. Tony Blair's not insane. He's the worst type of human being in the world. He did it for money. Because he's traipsing around the world now, charging £100,000 a time to give lectures at universities, while people are trying to rebuild their lives in Iraq. While in Fallujah, babies are being born with 2 heads, 3 arms, no eyes. There's nothing else to be said about that. Other than it wasn't news to us. We knew. This was planned years ago. It wasn't planned 12 months before. It was planned years and years before that. You're with the Richie Allen television show in association with davidicke.com and beyondvision.tv. Check out beyondvision.tv. There are loads of excellent programmes coming online, building up to a big launch later this autumn or even late winter. Fabulous, great project here in Manchester. Check out this charming Fans with Colin Manford and a cast of thousands. It's a big Manchester City fan show. It's brilliant. There's going to be lots more stuff like that on BV TV. Moving on, David Icke coined a phrase a couple of years ago talking about the hidden agenda to drive more and more people into poverty, drive people into super cities by forcing them away from the land, by destroying the land, using fracking and other things, making the land uninhabitable, the cashless society, no jobs. Look it up on davidicke.com, The Hunger Games Society. I came across this story yesterday, which you can see now. Have a look. Buy-to-let landlords in London have been compared to human traffickers after 105 tenants were found squeezed into just 7 properties. This latest shocking insight came to light after police and council officers raided the homes in Dagenham in East London. One 3-bed property housed a bull mastiff dog and 16 people, including a 6-week-old baby. That might sound funny, that, but I bet you it's not. I bet you it's not for the people living there. Another greedy landlord was making £4,000 a month by packing a 3-bedroomed home in the capital with 10 tenants. And this is going on all over the country. They are telling you lies every time they open their fucking mouths and tell you things are on the up and up. Unemployment is on the way down. It isn't. 0 hours contracts jobs are on the way up. Unemployment ain't on the way down. A 0 hours contract is unemployment by another fucking name. Right? Am I wrong in saying that, Hayden?
No, no.
No, it's spinning unemployment, isn't it? Yeah. And that's all that most people have these days in certain parts of this country.
Absolutely.
That's all they have. We've talked a lot on this programme about the sick and disabled in this country, how they're being treated. Again, vital life-sustaining assistance being cut or being taken away entirely for no good reason. Not to make savings, to tackle the deficit, to destroy people's lives. That's what it's really about. I've talked to you before about the humiliating assessments where sick people have to turn up and beg heartless suits, cold pencil pushers, beg them for help and prove to them that they can't work at present. This has also been covered, of course, on the Live League show as well. This in The Guardian. Massive story in The Guardian this week, as you can see. And it's about Michael O'Sullivan, a builder from Highgate in London, who had severe mental health problems, made it impossible to work. Despite, though, his doctor, who's supposed to have the final say in these matters, you know, qualified man or woman, no, the guy can't work. Despite them supposed to be having the last say, he was ruled fit for work at the age of 60 by the Department for Work and Pensions assessors. He committed suicide on the 24th of September 2013. I don't know what that's like, you know. Jesus, his case caused outrage this September just gone when it emerged that a coroner had ruled that the suicide was triggered by acute anxiety brought on by his experience with the work capability assessment process, which has become very controversial because they're not finding very many people unfit for work, you know. Most people they're meeting, they're finding them fit for work. You know, the most difficult thing for many people to come to terms with is this, that it's systematic. It's a culling of people. It's what's meant to happen. It's murder. It's murder. But right now, the vast majority of people in this country and in America and elsewhere can't come to terms with it. Their minds won't process it. It's got to be bad management. It's got to be toffee-nosed politicians who went to Eton, who are just posh bastards who just don't give a shit about the poor. That's what it's got to be. No, it isn't. It's Agenda 21. It's all of that. That sounds like fucking crazy conspiracy theory, but it isn't. It's about depopulation on a massive scale. Look it up, people. Look it up. Jesus. And then we talk about, you know, George Orwell, 1984. And we spoke on last week's programme about the death of free speech, the attack on free speech in this country by David Cameron and by the Home Secretary. This week, I had to rub my fucking eyes and look again to find out that the body that runs football in Europe, known as UEFA, is threatening to fine Manchester City Football Club and possibly further down the road expel it from European competition because, Hayden Hewitt, its fans have the temerity to boo their fucking anthem. What in the name of God is going on?
It beggars belief. I mean, Manchester City fans aren't keen on UEFA. Historically, there have been some bad decisions against them, like being banned from going to the Russia match when the Russian fans...
Yeah.
And obviously financial fair play, which seems a nice idea, but obviously not quite very well implemented. So they booed it. Now, a few friends of mine were at the match, but Steve, who works on these charming fans, he was there with his family, young kids, and they were being pelted with coins by the Seville fans, who had earlier on kicked off in Manchester.
Seville's away fans have a reputation. When we lived in Spain, we went to see Seville a couple of times. They're home fans. We went to see them play against Arsenal in the Champions League, and the racist abuse they dealt out to Bakary Sagna, who was then playing for Arsenal, now a City boy. I'd never seen anything like it. I'm not saying that they're the only ones, but they've got a bit of a rep for it, you know.
Well, that's the thing. They've gone on a rampage in the city centre. They're pelting fans with coins and rubbish and all that. That's all right, though, because how dare you boo anthem.
The
of
product.
The Champions League.
The product.
There you go.
The corporate product. Now, this is terrifying for free speech. I mean, it's everywhere. Imagine that, people. Imagine the people running football saying, we'll punish you for not liking us, for having an opinion about us. That's effectively it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And look at the state that organisation's in the minute.
Yeah. Brown envelopes, brown envelopes, brown envelopes.
We've got a drill. Hang on.
Shall we carry on?
Yeah, let's
carry on. We record this as live, as you just heard there. Somebody's using a drill. Hayden, that's just one example, mate. That's just one example. We're going to wrap it up there anyway, before he starts drilling again. That's kind of it for the programme. I just wanted to direct you to the YouTube channel for the Richie Allen Radio Show. Please go to youtube.com. You can see it on screen there. Subscribe to it. All the old radio interviews are on there. I don't tend to want to plug the radio show too much on this particular programme, but there's the YouTube channel anyway. That's it for this Friday's Richie Allen television show in association with beyondvision.tv and davidicke.com. Thank you so much for watching it. I really appreciate that. Please do share it on social media. And that's it. I will see you next week at the same time. Until then, look after yourselves and one another. Big thanks to Hayden, of course, for his contributions, not only during the programme, but also the post-production and everything else that he does for the programme and for BVTV, which is a big deal. And it's going to be a real big deal in the coming weeks and months as well. Until next time, bye for now.